I'm Bill McWilliam, president of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mish Shedlock, editor of Mish's Global Economic Trend Analysis on maven.net/MishTalk. Welcome back to the show, Mish.
Pleasure to be on.
Do you think the tax reforms promised by President Trump really do have a chance of getting through now?
I do, actually. Look at the stock market today. The rally today was based on news or reports that McCain was going to give his okay to the tax bill. Actually, the Republican committee accidentally released a report saying it passed, and it was immediately deleted. However, the Hill picked up on it. So it looks like they're pretty confident this thing is going to pass. Is it reform? No. In some ways, it's more complicated than it was before, and it's not even a tax cut by the year 2027. Anyone making under $100,000 a year is going to be paying more taxes than they are now. Not my idea of a very good tax package at all.
I saw, I don't know what meeting it was, a bunch of corporate CEOs were asked, well, if the tax cuts go through, you're all going to hire more employees and open up more plants and businesses, right? One person out of a group of about 50 put up their hand.
Yeah, the consensus opinion is they'll use this money to buy back more shares at increasingly stupid prices. That's where we are. I don't consider today's move all that bullish. Actually, it has all the makings of a blow-off top. Words I've been reluctant to use for the last 2 years is because I had no idea how high this thing was going, and we still don't know, Jim, if this is the top or not. But everyone seems to be pretty much all in, convinced that nothing bad can go wrong. Interestingly, despite the move up today, the VIX, a measure of volatility, actually rose today. Normally it takes a dive when the stock market is going up. I'm not sure what's up with that. It could just be an anomaly, or it could be something else. The next few days in the stock market might be kind of interesting.
Is a strong stock market the equivalent of a strong economy?
Well, Jim, you know the answer to that. Of course it's not, but actually right now it's one of the things that's holding up consumer spending. I'm looking at that right now. Real disposable income in today's income and outlays report from the BEA is up about 1.6% from a year ago. That's real income. Real spending is up 2.6%. And it's been going this way every month this year, by the way. Consumers are tapping into their savings to support consumption. And with what's going on here with hurricane anomalies and everything else, it's rather hard to get a really good picture on what's going to happen. But I think GDP is up in the third quarter because of a hurricane impact. People buying replacement items for their houses, etc. Certainly cars, millions of them were destroyed. that funneled manufacturing production of cars, of auto parts, everything related, some chemicals that were destroyed in the hurricanes. This is not to say that hurricanes are a good thing for the economy. Indeed, in the long term, they're a bad thing. But short term, it's making some of the data look a lot stronger, I believe, than it otherwise would be, and which is another grounds for people, cheering about the strong economy. I just don't think it's that strong.
Doug Casey told me he believes the U.S. has been in what he calls a soft recession since the crash in 2007.
I don't know how he defines that, but I kind of like the term. I hadn't heard that, but it's a good way of phrasing things. Certainly we've seen, a lot of jobs. I believe a lot of them are part-time jobs, people working, extra jobs. They're talking about inflation being mute, up 1.4% or something from a year ago. I think those numbers are seriously underreported, actually, because they don't include home prices. I don't think they properly include, medical care. Certainly people who have to buy their own insurance have gotten absolutely clobbered, on medical insurance, and, those who, depend on a company plan of some kind have seen their deductibles rise and coverage actually drop. So the idea that there's little inflation in medical goods and services, I think, is crazy, and that's one of the components actually holding down the reported inflation rate. And of course, they don't count a blow-off bubble in the economy, in the stock market, as having anything to do with inflation, when that's really where the inflation predominantly can be seen.
Do you know if they even include prescription drugs in the inflation rate?
Oh, sure they do. Absolutely. In fact, that was one of the things that came out of the income and outlays report today. There was a big jump in prices of prescription drugs, non-prescription drugs, that kind of thing. So, of course, the Fed is cheering this as good news. They're always happy when your dollar buys less. Consumers, no doubt, have a different opinion.
We'll have more with Mike Shedlock right after the break.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan District of northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Albemarle's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the pink CYDVF, and on Frankfurt's C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Shedlock. Mish, the new chair of the Fed, kind of hints that he might hold off on interest rate hikes. Will he?
Jim, I never thought that they would get this hike in December. I mean, I'm by never, I mean, I'm looking back to early this year and even up through mid-year. It became apparent about 2 months ago or so, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 3, that I was wrong, that they were going to get this hike in, and now I'm in the same boat here. With one is penciled in for December, and that's going to happen, and barring a nuclear attack or something. the one penciled in for March, I'm unsure about. It really depends on what the data does. Actually, it depends on a whole bunch of things. What the stock market does, and what the data does. If I'm correct here, that the economy really isn't strengthening, that it's either a blow-off top or a blow-off top in conjunction with a reported jump in home sales, I don't think they're going to be hiking. So, and then there's a third factor of what their perceived rates of inflation are. I think in a stock market bust, consumers are going to start spending way less. They're going to feel a little bit less exuberant, and there's a decent chance that we actually see real price declines here now, the very thing they're fearing. And one of the aspects here that I'd actually been thinking about and proclaimed years ago, that when the next recession does come, it might not cost that many jobs, at least in the employment statistics. People are working 2 jobs, maybe they're working 1 now. People were working full-time, maybe they go down to working 30 hours. That kind of thing. So if that is accurate, and it might not be, but that will absolutely destroy corporate profits if they have to hang on to all of these employees because they've overexpanded the stores, the Walmarts, the Targets, whatever. The other alternative is we see a lot of stores closing, and we see mall vacancy rates rise, and that will cause stress of a different kind. So either way, if the economy is topping here, things are not looking very good at all for corporate profits, especially as the Fed is hiked. I think the next major move in interest rates is actually lower from here, not up. Very different from what most think.
Why would you feel that way?
Well, I think when the bust does come, and it's going to come, the Fed is going to be much quicker to cut rates than they have been to hike them here, and the cuts will be bigger than these baby step hikes that we've seen over the last couple of years.
We'll have more with Mike Shedlock right after this.
Glance Technologies owns and operates Glance Pay, a disruptive mobile payment technology now live in 16 cities in Canada and about to launch in the U.S. With revenues up 664% in the last quarter, Glance Technologies has the potential to be a worldwide leader in an industry projected to grow to $1.3 trillion in 3 years. Glance Technologies stock symbols are GLNFF in the U.S. and GET in Canada. Find out more at glancepay.com.
Keep informed. Receive our weekly recap of thought-provoking articles, podcasts, and radio delivered to your inbox for free. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage, HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Shedlock. Mish, new head of the Fed, Jerome Powell, has said they don't consider Bitcoin to be big enough to be of concern to U.S. Fed policy. Is that a mistake, or is it really true?
I would tend to agree with them. It's not often I agree with these people, but all these reports out there, you see, that central bankers are quaking in their boots and all this other nonsense. I don't think they care anything about it. We heard the same thing when gold was up to 1,900. The central banks were all concerned about this. We heard this when silver was, popped a few years back when silver hit $46. Supposedly, if it rose another $10, J.P. Morgan would be bankrupt and all this kind of stuff. All that stuff is just a bunch of hooey. I don't think the Fed is concerned or even pays much attention to this. Now, one of the Fed governors, Fed president from St. Louis, Bullard, came out and said the other day, all the way back in September, that he was concerned about fintech, financial technology, and that headline somehow got twisted into him saying he was very concerned that the rise of Bitcoin could, destroy banks. So people take things out of context. It took me a long time actually to track the quote back to find out, because no one put a link into it, to find out what it was he really said. I found literally dozens of people repeating that quote, and not one person actually taking it back to the source. Was back in September, and his concern was not really about Bitcoin per se, but about blockchain, about other things. And bear in mind, he is just one Fed member. The real key was when Powell came out, unless he's lying, and these guys can lie, but the statement smacks me of the truth that they don't believe Bitcoin matters. I don't believe Bitcoin matters. Certainly there's not a lot of lending in Bitcoin, so there's not going to be any defaults in Bitcoin. Bitcoin has nothing to do with any bank profits that are out there. I don't believe that there's any reason for them to be concerned over this. It's possible they're a little bit concerned over a bubble in Bitcoin and who's speculating in it. But my gosh, the bubble in stocks market, which they don't even see, is far bigger and going to be far more important than that. No matter what happens to Bitcoin, Bitcoin collapsed to zero tomorrow. I don't see it would make any bit of difference in the economy at all.
Just to the individuals who lost everything.
Just to the individuals who lost everything. Same thing. If Bitcoin doubled for some reason tomorrow, I don't think it would make a bit of difference to anything.
Also, it's kind of hard for merchants to use it for everyday purchases because that $8.50 item bought with a Bitcoin, you may make an extra $3 on it, or you may make nothing if it goes down.
Well, what they would do is immediately, stores aren't going to be holding Bitcoin, at least very few of them. If they took a Bitcoin transaction, they would immediately sell it, for dollars, so that they have no currency risk. That's just what they would do, period. However, Bitcoin is so slow that the price can fluctuate a lot by the time they actually do that. This is in sharp contrast to normal foreign exchanges. Say you go overseas and use your credit card and buy something in dollars in a euro-denominated country. The conversion is going to be instantaneous. And they're going to screw you on it as well if you use a credit card. So, this is a lot different. I mean, we're talking here about 3, 5, 10% moves in a day or hour, sometimes. So it's a lot different. The risks are higher. And for all the hype about people being able to use Bitcoin, most of the people who have Bitcoin are speculating it and holding it because they're true believers. They're not going out there and making purchases in Bitcoin. They're just not. It causes tax complications because the moment they buy something with Bitcoin, that's an exchange. They have to pay taxes on that. At some point, I'm wondering if the IRS is going to require companies to keep track of whether or not of who's buying what Bitcoin in retail transactions. So will stores even want to do that? Actually, the safe thing for them to do would be to just say, screw it, I'm not going to accept Bitcoin. So there's a lot of hype over Bitcoin. I believe it's a bubble. The true believers believe it's not a bubble. That debate is going to go on until the damn thing crashes or gets to 100,000, which is the new price target on it. But personally, I'm staying away. I have no investment in Bitcoin other than someone gave me 1/10 of one a few years back, which is now worth what? Actually $1,000. I no longer know if I've got the keys. So if it hits $100,000, I have to see. I'll have to, figure out if I can find my key and get my 1/10 of a Bitcoin and sell it for $10,000. More than likely, this thing has gone to Bitcoin heaven.
Well, the Russians have created the crypto ruble. Is this just another way for Russian hackers to get into your computer?
I don't know. I can't comment on that. I don't even know these Russian hackers, Siberian hackers, Chinese hackers, disguised to be Russian I don't know who's hacking who or who's hacking what. I mean, some of this stuff goes back to Russia. It's certainly not the Russian government, at least in my opinion. So I don't pay any attention to any of this kind of stuff. We had the case earlier this year of computers being hacked and demanding Bitcoin in ransom. We've not seen another one of those kinds of attacks for some time here. I don't pay any attention to this kind of stuff, Jim. I just don't.
Mish, thank you so much for chatting with us.
A pleasure to be back on as we head into the new year. It's going to be interesting to see whether what's left of this rally in the stock market.
My guest has been Mish Shedlock, editor of Mish's Global Economic Trend Analysis on maven.net/MishTalk. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.